Hey Vsauce, I'm not Michael, and I'm not from Vsauce, but I still want to answer one question, or at least attempt to answer, and that is, what is time? You see, people are very, very concerned about time, most of the time. Time itself is in a quantum state, we could say, because in some ways it exists and in others it doesn't exist, and you'll see what I mean. Time is a construct created by humans for humans, and that's important to remember. It's kinda like math. Now, animals inherently don't understand math, but we can teach them to understand the concept of math. And I believe we could do the same with time. Maybe. I'm not certain how intelligent animals are. Still though, what does exist is perception of time, or better yet, perception of light. Photons, to be correct. Which in a way connects to time. You see, we can perceive light at different speeds, which in a way can be translated to time traveling. You can travel forwards in time, but never backwards. And that is because if we take a look at the video editing software here, you see we have 0, 0 and bunch of zeros. Time is like this frame counter, except that it's constantly resetting itself to 0. But you see, I can't move the counter to the negative position. I can, however, move it to the positive position. Keeping in mind that it's constantly resetting to 0 is important. Now, we can influence the speed at which we are perceiving time, so you can perceive it faster or slower. Well, perceive light. And let's say that you could move at the speed of light. Everything would seem as if it froze, at least to the observer's eye. I don't know how the person that would be moving at such light would feel or even see, because your eye at that moment would not be receiving any photons. So if your mind could be moving forward, maybe it would all be black. Who knows? But what is important is that this theory is based on perception of light. So some of you might be asking, what about blind people? Like, they can't perceive light, or can they? Actually, they can. Most of blind people can perceive some light. And for this theory to hold its ground, all you need is 1 pixel of light. Now, I didn't test if I can perceive light, if I can perceive time while being blindfolded, mostly because that takes effort. But I would like to see some experiments be done in such a way. Which brings us to this formula here. With this formula, or equation, we can calculate the perception of time, which is quite amazing when you think about it, isn't it? We can calculate at what speed an observer is perceiving time, perceiving light. Because in a way, light and time are the same. See, this is why I said that time is in a quantum state. Because if we say time and light are the same, then in a way there's no point in having time. But because light has its own characteristics, time does exist. In a way we could say that time is perception of light. Is the speed of perception of light, which is what this equation calculates. velocity, so speed of the observer, divided by the speed of light. We take that in absolution, meaning it will always be a positive number. And you take 1 minus this, you will always get something between 0 and 1, which is important. Because one of those states means that everything is frozen for you, so that you perceive no light. And the other would mean that you're moving at the speed of time, which, as I've said before, can have either the same or mostly unknown effects. And that is, what are the real questions? I do plan to delve and go even deeper into time in future. But that is it for now. Thank you for watching, and as always,